the government back in October called an election, and the vote will happen this coming Saturday, the 19th of November. Now, I'm not trying to come across by any means as any sort of an expert on Malaysian politics or any of that sort of stuff. Just going to give some of my outsiders' thoughts and perspectives on the process that we get to experience in a new country. So the first thing, right after the election was called, I half expected, like in Canada, the day after, or in some cases I've seen it hours after the election's called, that you start seeing the signs going up on lawns and beside the road and things like that. Didn't happen here quite that fast, but after a couple of weeks, we started noticing these flags going up along the side of the roads, different colored ones. Red ones at first were the first ones we noticed, and then blue, and then another shade of blue. And that's what the political parties here use instead of the little lawn signs as flags. And then they also have at various places, you'll see bigger posters, banners, and huge signs and whatnot. But that's what it looks like here with an election. Of course, not watching Malaysian TV, I haven't seen any political commercials in any way, so I don't know what that looks like, if that is even such a thing. But we did notice a couple times now, just last night and then a week ago when we went to the night market on Tuesday night for supper, we noticed the one political group, the Harapan they're called, they were doing a rally through the market. So they would sort of gather together and one of the leaders would start chanting some things in Malay, so I didn't understand them. And then everybody in the crowd would answer, Harapan! And well, it was kind of entertaining and interesting, but we didn't know what was going on, or didn't know exactly what was being done, other than look like a pep rally kind of thing. There are three main political parties, or political coalitions, I'll call them, because from what I understand, they aren't traditional political parties. They're a coalition of different political parties that have come together trying to increase their chances in winning elections. So there's Harapan, there is, and they are traditionally in Malaysia, they have been the opposition party, from what my understanding, although I do believe they did win an election not so long ago now. And then the other one is the BN, or Barisan Nasional. They are traditionally the party that rules. They've won almost all the elections in Malaysia's history in at least a couple of different forms, but this party, this coalition, has traditionally been the ones in power. And then there's also the Parakatan Nasional, PN, and that's a newer political coalition, splintered off of the BN, from what I've been led to believe. And they are, like I said, they're newer, and they're one of the other main political forces in the country. There are numerous other political groups that may run candidates in any of the 222 different electoral districts throughout the country. And these districts work very much like in Canada. So the 222 electoral districts represent 222 seats in the Dewan Rakyat. That's the parliament, if you will, that they have in Kuala Lumpur, where the government sits. So if you get the most votes in your electoral district, you get to represent your party in the Dewan Rakyat in Kuala Lumpur. It looks not a lot different from what we're used to seeing in Canada, in that there's just a lot of political rhetoric that gets spoken. I heard one candidate state something to the effect that if you don't vote for our party, you're probably going to harm democracy in Malaysia. So, typical political kind of rhetoric that we're used to hearing. But politics works slightly differently here, in that race and religion play a much larger role here than we as Canadians and probably North Americans would feel entirely comfortable with. Oh yeah, and another thing that is making this a fairly significant election here in Malaysia is that earlier this year, the law was officially finalized and changed to allow the voting age to be dropped from 21 to 18. So this year, 18, 19, and 20-year-olds will be able to vote in an election in Malaysia for the first time. So that's adding a little bit of different dynamic to the whole process as well. It looks like it's going to be a very close race, close election, and it may not be decided on election day. So there may have to be some political wrangling and posturing and whatnot to form a coalition government so that they can move ahead afterwards. That's what I've been hearing in some of the news groups that I've been following. So it'll be interesting just to see how all of this plays out. So yeah, if anything significant comes of it, I will definitely keep you posted. But that's just my impressions of getting to observe an election firsthand in a country that isn't my home country.